Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty. Today's topic is the cogent first ladies. How much did they know about their husbands' infidelities? Infidelities with men. See, many of you tend to think that these women knew all along about their husbands' shenanigans. Many of you show very little sympathy towards these women because of that belief. Many of you think that they had a clue and that they didn't care that much because what they were more concerned about was the lifestyle in which they were able to bask in. So we're going to look at the mindset and to see after this video if you still believe that these women knew. But before I go on, I want you to take just a quick listen to Vanessa Long, whose husband we know was the late Eddie Long.
Ladies, back in December of 2011, I was in the middle of a storm, and I got off the ship. As much as I love my husband, my family, my new birth family, I couldn't take another minute pretending that I was okay. It was an incredibly difficult decision to make. And it was equally hard to come back because I felt like I failed the very people that needed me to be their strength. After all, you felt the storm too, and yet you stood. But then I realized that the best thing that I could do was to let you see me as a woman, just like you. A woman capable of making good decisions and a woman capable of making bad decisions. God causes everything to work together for good. Instead of condemning myself, I can use what happened as an opportunity to minister to someone else going through a storm.
Now, did that sound like a woman who knew? Did it sound like a woman who was in cahoots with her husband's lifestyle so she can stay in a particular lifestyle? Does it sound like a woman who was just burying her head in the sand? Not to me. She sounded genuine. She sounded like a woman who went through a very emotional, traumatic time in her life and who really had to make a very emotional, traumatic decision. Keep one thing, we're dealing with faith, hope, redemption, salvation. That's the tenets of their religion, of Christianity. So therefore, I think a lot of times people tend to dwell or immerse themselves and others into those belief systems as well. So therefore, they're not going to be thinking of lies, deceit, cover-ups, going around my back, playing around, and particularly with someone of the same sex. See, I believe a lot of times just a very complex form of grooming goes on here. Grooming we associate with children, but in this case right here, it can be adults as well. It could be anyone. But a lot of these women are groomed to believe that these men who they choose to get involved with and eventually marry and who become pastors, preachers, prophets, they believe that these men are heterosexual men, that these men sole desires are with women. Now, in some cases, as in the case of Dwayne Dawkins, his wife, he did admit to having an indiscretion earlier before in his marriage. But once again, we're dealing with the faith. Hope, faith, redemption, salvation, change. I can do all things in Christ. We know who dwells within me. With the power of God, I can do all things. So they're believing in that it can change someone. And also people are hoping that this is a segment that is behind them, that we're moving forward. I think a lot of us like that type of positive thinking. And we all know and can accept that people make mistakes. In the Christian faith, I don't think that they expect anyone to be perfect. So that lays a foundation to move forward, to continue on with the marriage, to continue on with the ministry. So look at Tamia, looking at her husband there. She's very proud of him. This type of a look, the way she's admiring him, is not someone who knows about her husband, that he's continuing these affairs with men, that he's in relationships with OnlyFans models, that he's picking up guys on apps. No, I do not believe that this is a woman who is even aware of that. And a lot of times too, these first ladies, they have a lot of other responsibilities. Tamia had a business. So therefore, we're talking about side businesses, duties as first lady, their wives, their mothers. They have family also. No one's going to be obsessing over their man having sex or relationships with other men. If anything, what these first ladies are going to be more concerned about, they're going to be more concerned about losing their men to women. They're not going to be concerned about losing their men to other men. Now keep one thing in mind. This goes farther than Tamia and Dwayne and Eddie Long and Vanessa Long. I'm referring to the thousands of black first ladies out there. These first ladies are not going to be concerned with their husbands gallivanting around in sexual relationships with other men. So, with this being able to be deceived, I want to bring up another story. And this is the story of Terry McMillan. Now, we all know Terry McMillan from the author of Waiting to Excel and the movie that came out. Kind of semi-autobiographical about her meeting a young man in Jamaica. Terry said this about Jonathan Plummer. She stated that Jonathan had no problems pleasing her sexually. So she was deceived, like a lot of women are deceived. These gay men, some of them can please a woman sexually. Some of them can get turned on enough to do the act with a woman. So apparently, according to Terry McMillan, they had a great sex life. He was able to get it up, get it in, give her the big O. And she's thinking in her mind, probably, it probably never even crossed her mind that he was gay. But according to Jonathan, he was gay in their whole marriage. Now, I'm sure another underlying factor in this performance that he was able to do was the fact that he wanted to become American citizen to get that green card. But this just goes to show you that many times people can perform in their environment. Many prisoners who go into prison, the prison system, go in there straight. But behind bars, because of their environment and what's available, they're able to do homosexual behavior. So it's no different than these men who are in an environment with these women out of prison. They're able to perform husbandly duties and deceive these women. Now, Terry said she had no idea or clue that he was gay. Look at him. This is the reason why I think it's important for women to have gay male friends. It is extremely important because obviously they lack gaydar. You just cannot rely on straight people to have gaydar. Gay men pick it up very well. They would have easily picked this up with Jonathan, with Dwayne, with Eddie. I just think that women are, particularly if they're married, they just lack that particular ability. So it just goes to show you that, yeah, there's a lot of this stuff out there. And when he starts doing these photos right there, ladies, these pictures, tight shirts, selfies, be aware. Why would a married man need to take pictures like this? What's the point of taking a picture like this and getting it out there? You got to be thinking, who's he sending that to? Who's it for? You're his wife. You already see him with his shirt off. So therefore, that's kind of suspect to me. So Vanessa Long, I absolutely do not believe that she knew. I think she found out like many of us found out. And many people can be very critical of first ladies. I noticed that a lot of gay men were very critical. And it was them who seemed to think that, well, they knew all along. They had to have known. Not really. A lot of us did not know until after the fact, until after these pictures, these relationships came forward. And no, they're not going to sit right there and be in cahoots and just bury their head in the sand because they have too much to lose. Careers can be displaced, lifestyles can be displaced, family is affected. It's just way too much. And these men are master manipulators. They are very good at hiding things. And these women do not know because a lot of times it is their jobs as pastors, preachers, elders, or whatever, to minister to people, to give people counseling, to do one-on-one services. They have no idea that their husbands are on these apps. They have no idea that these husbands are sneaking around watching gay porn. They have no idea that these husbands are flirting with male members of the congregation. I don't believe they know that or are aware of that. I think that blaming these women, to me, is extremely unfair. And it's almost like it's her responsibility to know or to have known. Not really. I just don't think that you can live in a paranoid existence like that in a relationship. It's not conducive to even having a thriving relationship. And these women, when you say that they know, they have children. Things that go on in the marriage when it falls apart affects the children. No female is going to want to think that the man who gave her these beautiful souls, who was able to perform certain things with her, are performing them with other men. A woman's mindset is not going to go into a direction that he's out there having unprotected sex with other men. She's not going to be thinking in terms of like he's penetrating other men raw, or he's allowing other men to penetrate him, or he's out there having oral sex with other men. It's not something that women think about. And I would seriously doubt if these cogent first ladies are thinking about that, or these Christian first ladies are even thinking in that manner. No, they're not thinking about that. And no, they didn't know. So the blame does not go to them in any way. Now, could there possibly be some ladies who know this and are aware of that? In my opinion, I think that would be like the Paul and Jan Crouches when they're much older. In Jan's case, wasn't she in her 60s or 70s? And Paul Crouch came up with a lawsuit by a church member, some black guy who said that he was coerced. I think at that particular age, they may turn a blind eye because sex is not important to them. A particular duties, I think, as first lady is not, it's kind of like been there, done that. If they're in their 60s or 70s, they've been at that for like 40 years almost. But I'm focusing on these ladies right here. For the most part, the black first ladies in the church, the vast majority of them have no clue about their husbands' extracurricular activities with men. I do not believe they think like that. I don't even think they are aware of that. And if they are, in the case of like Tamia Dawkins, you guys are going to bring up, remember what I told you. Faith, redemption, salvation, forgiveness. She thought it was done and over. She thought the laying on the hands, the therapy, the preaching, that it was something that he got over. But unfortunately, she was wrong. And unfortunately, many first ladies will be wrong. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is another edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty. And I will see you all beyond and through.